Hi guys, tonight I'm gonna talk to y'all about three things that I'm looking forward to in the future. I just want to remind y'all how poor is life without goals. You guys always have to set up a goal. If you reach them, set up another one because that's how you make sense of life. When you have a goal and you keep reaching them and you keep living. Baseball wise, I want to play in the season this year. I hope Corona let me. I have been working so hard the whole last summer. I have been putting in work every day, every day, every day. I wanna at least hit a 300 average. 300 average. I wanna at least connect like a bunch of doubles and just have fun. Gym wise, I still lifting. I'm still grinding. I wanna be a trainer. I'm gonna talk with the owner of the gym in my college to see if I can train like one or two people a week because that's what I want to do in the future, be a gym trainer. I want to get a certificate a certificate so I can go like to bigger gyms and stuff and be able to train with that. I want to be a certified trainer. Yeah, that's honestly what I want to do. All right, guys, my name is Luis Francisco. Welcome to my podcast, episode 2, The Art of the Process. And this episode is inspired because a lot of times we go through the motions on our day-to-day basis and we don't realize that days are going by, and as long as you're putting enough action behind your days, you are moving towards the goal that you want, right? Because like a lot of times like we get impatient and we just want the things quick. We want it now without knowing that that's I would say, consequence, right? Of like, or not a consequence, I would say that's a cause of how today's world works. Like we go onto social media, right? And we see the 25-year-old having a Lamborghini. We see 19-year-old kids that are rich already or like have some sort of success. But in the past, I know, and you might know too, if you talk with an older person, they will tell you, things take time. Back in the day, there were, right, starting from the smallest beginnings. And now those people can be super successful nowadays. But, they will tell you that it took them time. And also, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And the book is about, this guy that wanted to be an archer, he wanted to be an archer, and he thought he was gonna take the bow and the arrow and start shooting right away. But the senseis, they're in Japan, they made him chop wood and carry water, right? Having them go through a journey first of development, like his mind first, his ways of thinking, his habits. And that's what I want to talk about today, the art of the process. So one of the things that I learned playing sports is that winning is not guaranteed, right? We can get ready, right? When I used to play baseball, like we will go through I will go through a really intense off season, put muscle on, get jacked, get faster, right? Improve my swing, improve the way I throw, the way I feel the ball, just to make myself better, a better athlete. And that all came down to me at the end of the day not even knowing if that was actually gonna give me the win. And it's because winning is not guaranteed. Yes, you do it because you wanna win, but at the end of the day, you either going to the field to win or lose. So what do we actually get ready for the goals we have? What do we go so hard, right, about our milestones, like buying a house, getting a good job? Why do we actually do these things? Why do we wake up every single day and we say, no, I gotta invest into this next mentorship so I can get this outcome, or I gotta save money so I can buy the car of my dreams, or whatever the case may be. Why do we keep doing this if at the end of the day, we know that winning is not guaranteed? We don't know if tomorrow we will walk outside and some tragedy happens and we cannot get to our goals. We don't know if, another COVID happens and that delays the goals that we have for a really long time. So, why do we actually do this? It's because nobody can promise that you will win, but you will lose if you don't play the game, if you don't try to win. So that takes me right to a very interesting analogy, and it's that, okay, we gotta play the game. Now, even if you want to guarantee that win, that success in whatever you're doing, the process itself cannot be cheated, right? And I learned this because, I've been getting closer to God, and the way that God's law work in each of our lives is that we all get what we deserve, right? So it don't matter like what you really want, you gotta start from within. What do I deserve as a person? What do I deserve as a husband, as a dad? What do I deserve as an employee? We all, at the end of the day, everybody get what we deserve. So, if we already know that winning, right, it's not guaranteed. We already know that, okay, it's not guaranteed, but we still got to play the game, right? What do we actually are doing? What can we really guarantee within ourselves that move ourselves forward? And that is just, you get a little better every single day. Yes, maybe you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and be the next Shohei Ohtani. Maybe you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and be the next Grant Cardone. Maybe you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and be at the top of your company. But you can wake up tomorrow and aim to just be a tiny bit better than you were yesterday. And it compounds, it really does. If you are a little bit better every single day, it's cliche, but in 1 year, you will be 365 times a little better than you were a year before. So, again, God will give us what we deserve. So, instead of thinking about the outcome, what's this goal? How am I gonna get to this goal? We should start thinking about, what is the person I have to become so that goal seems realistic? What is the person that I have to become so that goal seems attainable or even obvious? And that will get us to point 0 instead of us living in like point 50 out of 100, point 70 out of 100, because we cannot get too ahead of ourselves because we're not gonna be able to step in the right direction, right? If we see like a towel, like from the distance, like when you see like a towel that you barely can see, it might be like 10 miles away, right? And you just see kind of like a little blurry, you see it down the horizon. If you start running, let's say, oh, I'm just gonna start running there. And you took a wrong direction, and somebody tell you, hey, once you start running in that direction, you can't change directions. You might end up miles drifting apart from that tower, but if you start thinking, okay, what will be the first step that get me there? What will be the next step? What will be the next step? Then you slowly will start reaching that tower and getting to it. So yeah, the work's gotta start from within. You gotta learn to be better, become better, and you will get better things. Now, I remember when I was back in college, I seen just the fact of being a trainer in a big boss gym. I just saw that as such a big accomplishment. Like I remember like being in my room and thinking like if I can just do that, man, like my life would be, I would be happy. Like if I can just like be that trainer, I will be the happiest man in the world. And you know, I just fantasized with that idea. And you know, time passed and I did become a gym trainer in a big box gym. I was a trainer at Amp Fitness. And it's really, you know, not embarrassing, but I would say it's a little bit like, it takes courage for me to say this. Once I became that trainer, I didn't see it as the big deal that I used to think it was gonna be. And that showed in the way that I went about the job. Yes, I loved it. Yes, I did whatever I had to do. But how much different it would have been if I would have actually stopped and looked at it and think back a little bit and look around and be like, wow, I manifested this so much. And now I'm in there. I'm in here. Like I get to help people, I struggle with depression a lot and this got me better. Now I get to actually change lives. And I kind of let the noise around me get the best of me at that moment because, you have managers, maybe I didn't like it. Maybe I didn't like the way some higher ups, were thinking about the business and, that didn't align with me. But again, that's when you gotta analyze things that happen to you and you become better from them. Because now I won't let absolutely nobody get me away from my journey. And this is what I want to talk about. The victory is in the journey, in the present, in the right now. It's even on the Bible. The Bible says like something about not worrying about the future because every day has its own trials. And again, like most people live in the future or in the past when we don't have that. The past is gone, the future is not promised. All we have is now. And to be real honest with you guys, like the fact that I'm sitting right here recording this podcast, like I really spoke all of this into existence, and I used to talk about it, I used to think about it. Maybe I told some people and they were like, yeah, that could be a good thing. But they didn't know like how fired up I was behind what I was telling them. That's why like now when somebody, especially some younger person or even like whoever, like tells me like, oh, I want to do this, I get like so fired up. It's almost like I get even more excited than them. And if I didn't, like I'm sorry, like if I didn't, like it's just not, like you don't know the impact that you can make on somebody when you can just believe in the things they do or in the things they want to do. So the fact that I'm doing this podcast right now, just being able to talk into a camera, having the opportunity to do it, it's like, wow, like we really can just create our own reality. But everything comes down to the journey, the day to day, what decisions we make, what we decide to do, and what we don't decide to do can also lead us somewhere else. And about, what we don't decide to do, make sure you always do something that gets you even a little bit closer than the goals you have, whether that's fitness, business, family. Because what stays stagnant, it dies. I have a pinned story in my Instagram that talks about me, like if you want to stay relevant, you gotta become unstoppable if you always want to stay relevant. Because again, the moment you just stop doing something, people forget about you, the message is just not being, preach whatever you came to this world to like preach or say or do, that message is just stagnant. Nobody's gonna listen to it. So you gotta make sure that it's not through your words that you move forward, but also through your action. You also communicate what you came to do in this world through your actions. You lead by example. You can tell somebody like something that you might know that they don't know, that might help them become a better person, become happier, fix their life a little bit. And ultimately, those small wins on a day-to-day basis, those days you wake up from your bed, you make your bed, you put your shoes on, and you go on a little walk. Maybe they're gonna get so attached into your routine that one day you're gonna start running. And next thing you know, you're hitting the weight room. Next thing you know, now you're used to all these things, and now you start tracking your food, right? And that's just how things compound, right? If you have a goal, don't play small, but also do the little things extraordinary better. Don't miss those little things. And that's actually an advice from the gym owner, the gym I work at. He told me as soon as I started working with him, he said, listen, bro, like in this business, I've seen good times, bad times, regular times. I've seen it all. But the one thing you cannot miss is the small things, the low-hanging fruits, the being waiting for your client on time, 15 minutes earlier, showing up for them with a good attitude, with the right mindset for every single client, no matter if you only have 1 or 50. Like, get ready for their sessions, right? Program their workouts. Those things are things that should never be missed. They should never change. Because the big battles are always, like, you always win those big battles through the small wins. Yeah, sometimes you might get a big win, right? You might get a big contract, a big transformation in your body, right? Maybe you married the girl of your dreams. But all of those big wins had compounded right behind them an immense amount of small wins that you did day by day. It's like when people say, oh yeah, that's an overnight success. There's no overnight success. That person had a journey. And you know what's crazy? If you have an overnight success, it's just a matter of time where you're gonna have an overnight failure. Like, it's literally how it works. Now, all of this can be even amplified, and right, the wins, the big wins, will all be amplified with how much sacrifices you did. It's not the same if somebody that comes from money gets more money and more and more and more, as if somebody that comes from absolutely nothing becomes successful in whatever field they decide to go on to. It's more possible for that person that came from nothing to be extremely happy about everything he has accomplished or she has accomplished than the person that already had it all and now just have more. We see it all the time. People that have a lot of success not be really happy, not really care about it. But the people that come from not a lot, that had to make it from ground zero, that person had to become somebody. He was never meant to be in the position they are. So the conclusion I have is that in the process, whatever you're going through, whether it's good, bad, sad, happy, just make the world around you better. The journey is just shaping you into a better person. Whenever you feel hungry, but you gotta stick to that meal plan, or you put some extra hours after work to work on that little business you got going, you are making yourself better, and therefore you're gonna make the people around you better, and your world is gonna be better. Now you become better for you and others too. Never just for you. And remember, at the end of each of our lives, we all gonna leave a legacy. And if you really focus on the small wins, becoming better, bring people around you happiness, that's all they're gonna remember once you're gone. Because your legacy is not how much money you made. It's not the career title you had. It's how you made the people around you feel. I hope this talk gives you some perspective and helped more than one person, because it helped me already. And again, thank you for listening to my podcast. My name is Luis. This is Prime Face Performance.